Welcome to the video everyone. Today let us break down the impact of what this man is doing to the crypto universe. And fair warning, the impact of his actions goes far beyond just Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana or other cryptocurrencies, or even just their prices. His plan has implications that can question the very foundation of what cryptocurrency represents. A decentralized, people-driven currency that can be free of any government's control. Trump's Genius Act threatens to make cryptocurrency another US-controlled financial system. But to understand this, you must first understand what the Genius Act is and why the US is passing this. Starting with the why. Trump's general idea is to introduce or embrace crypto, which can be as a US digital dollar or Bitcoin, in a way that shifts the financial system so that the US can pay its debt cheaper. The US is trying to make its debt cheaper using crypto. Now the obvious question is, how can someone make debt cheaper? To understand that, imagine this. You're a store owner. You've sold 100,000 worth of gift cards to customers. These gift cards represent the US debt, which is a promise to pay. The US government must pay its debtors, and you as a store owner must pay the people who bought these gift cards. Let's say these gift cards are currently in US dollars. But then you make a big announcement. You declare the launch of a new currency called gift coin. And from now on, all gift cards value is represented in gift coin and not US dollars. So if I owned a gift card worth $100 earlier, now I own a gift card worth 100 gift coins. Simple enough change. But at the same time, the value of one gift coin is less than $1. Say 75 cents. You are assigning value to the gift coin, so you are well within your rights to do this. So if someone now tries to use their 100 gift coin gift card, they can now only buy stuff worth 75 US dollars. Yes, this is borderline cheating, but it's your store. You make all the rules. Now, what just happened with the 100,000 debt that you owed? You've just devalued that debt by 25% without officially cancelling any gift cards. You still technically pay what you owe, just in a different, weaker currency. That is the basic idea behind using crypto or a new digital dollar to change how the US repays debt. They shift the financial system, introduce a new payment method, and control the value of this payment method in a way that makes their debt cheaper to pay off. And here comes the key point: controlling the value of this new cryptocurrency. But how can the US control the value of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, you ask? Fair question. Cryptocurrencies are decentralized with millions of owners around the world. But like any commodity, Bitcoin's price or any cryptocurrency's price is also controlled by demand and supply. So if the US owns enough Bitcoins, it can flood the market with a sale to crash the price or start buying in bulk to raise the price. So the US will essentially be doing exactly what it does with the US dollar, but without printing new Bitcoin. And if you think the US can't do that, remember that one interview from the US president crashed Bitcoin price by 20% in a day. Before I go in to tell you how the damage to cryptocurrencies may be substantially bigger than just price corrections, I want you to understand how exactly the US plans to capture enough power over cryptocurrencies to reduce its debt. Donald Trump has decided that any cryptocurrencies confiscated by law agencies in the US will now be held by the US government instead of auctioning them off. This means that the US will, first, find any possible reason to confiscate cryptocurrencies, and second, automatically become unchallenged in its holding of Bitcoin and stablecoins in the world. Estimates of the number of Bitcoins confiscated range from 30,000 to 300,000 already. This does not include the cryptocurrencies held by major US banks like JP Morgan. This is how the US will get a stranglehold on the supply. And then, the US isn't going to sell them off to pay their debt. Selling those currencies would mean the US loses its power over the crypto universe. So instead, they will pledge it to their central bank and get an interest-free loan. And to be clear, this is not really a loan because they never have to pay this loan off. Yes, sounds crazy, but that's how it is. The US will give the Reserve Bank a certificate that says they own X amount of crypto, and their central bank will have to give them its value in dollars. Then the government can use this money to pay off the debt, fund its budget, and whatever else they need, while using said crypto to manipulate the market anyway. And every time Bitcoin crashes, if you think the US isn't buying more, then I have a Taj Mahal that I want you to buy. Now, Russia's already called this out, but how can anyone stop them? Nothing that this government is doing is illegal. The only reason they wouldn't do this is morality which clearly is not the case here. So, now that you understand the volatility in store for the crypto universe, if the US goes ahead with this, I also promised you early in the video that the damage to cryptocurrencies isn't just going to be about price. It is an existential crisis. The biggest damage that this plan will cause is to the philosophy of Bitcoin. The reason cryptocurrency became this global phenomenon with trillions of dollars in is that it promised freedom from governance. It was the currency of the people, of all people. No government could control it, stop it, or ban it in any meaningful way. But with this Genius Act, the US would become the government with all the power over the crypto universe. That is bound to drive away the hardliners who supported cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana for what they represented: true freedom. If Trump tries to use crypto to devalue or restructure US debt, it would be a massive turning point, not just for US finance, but for the philosophy and purpose of crypto itself. It could boost prices and adoption, but also risk turning crypto into a political and economic tool, far from its original decentralized roots. This would be a possible timeline of impact on currencies. First, a short-term surge in prices. If a US president openly embraces crypto, especially Bitcoin, as part of the national economic strategy, the crypto market will likely surge short-term. Bitcoin and Ethereum prices would probably spike, as we already saw happen. Investors would now view this as mainstream validation, and US miners and crypto businesses would thrive. This is already happening. But this would then be followed by long-term volatility and uncertainty. If the US uses crypto to manipulate or reduce its debt, it introduces systemic risk to the entire crypto market, as we just discussed. People would see crypto as a tool for governments to play financial games. Will the US peg Bitcoin to debt? Will it turn a Trump coin? Will it dump crypto reserves to pay bills? Not to mention, crypto was built to avoid state control. Using it for sovereign debt repayment may feel like co-opting the system, which in turn would mean increased regulation if crypto is tied to the US debt policy. The government would likely move to regulate exchanges, wallets, and even smart contracts much more aggressively. Expect a KYC crackdown and surveillance tools, which means the innovation in the sector slows down. But most importantly, people would lose trust in the dollar, which ironically means more crypto demand. This might finally cement Bitcoin's role globally as an anti-inflationary asset. But if the US starts manipulating Bitcoin's role to manage its debt, it could undermine Bitcoin's neutrality. In short, Bitcoin gets more attention, higher prices, all cryptocurrencies surge, but they lose their ideological purity.